Motorsailers didn't grow out of luxury cruising. They came out of a much older problem. In places like the North Sea, the Irish Sea, the coast of Brittany, waiting for the wind wasn't a romantic choice, it was an expensive one. Boats had to work with or without breeze, and they had to do it without wearing the crew down. So the type evolved. Sail when you can, motor when you must, and build the whole boat around reducing the effort needed to get home safely. That second part matters more than most people realize, especially past a certain age. Solo sailing after 55 isn't really about strength, it's about energy management. The sailors who stay out there the longest are not the strongest ones. They're the ones who figured out how to use less of themselves on every passage. A proper motor sailor is essentially a tool built around that idea. More stability, more shelter, fewer decisions, fewer trips to the foredeck at the wrong moment. Here are 7 that experienced solo sailors keep coming back to. Start with the LM24 from Denmark. If you know the better-known LM27, this is the smaller, trailerable sibling, and it carries the same Nordic logic underneath. Practical, safe, adaptable. Not a yacht pretending to be rugged. A working boat scaled down for one person. The enclosed wheelhouse is the heart of it. Helm, engine controls, navigation, all within reach in a dry, protected space. On a long solo day, that dryness is not a comfort feature. It's fatigue management. You stay warmer, drier, more focused, and the electronics last longer because they aren't getting cooked by salt and sun. And the inside helm is only a step or two from the cockpit tiller, so you can switch from sheltered to hands-on sailing without any ceremony. Under the waterline, a full keel and enough displacement give her a steady, predictable motion. When the wind dies, the book diesel pushes her along at 5 or 6 knots, burning very little fuel, and it's positioned where a solo sailor can actually check it without gymnastics. Just keep in mind that it's an older engine. Mounts, vibration, and parts availability in your region are worth checking before you commit. What you get in return is a boat that's remarkably easy to handle alone for its size, with storage that punches well above its length. Next, the Colvik Watson 28.6. This one carries lifeboat DNA, and you feel it the moment you step aboard. Heavy displacement, long keel, hull shape that doesn't wander and doesn't demand constant correction at the helm. Owners who've pushed them through real weather describe the same experience. The boat just keeps going. One owner talked about driving through Grimsby to Hull in 28 knots, making 6 through heavy seas, no drama. That's the point of this boat. It's not fast. It's extraordinarily hard to overwhelm. Inside, the layout feels like a boat 5 feet longer. 2 separate cabins, a real galley, a dinette that works for actual living aboard rather than just coastal weekends. Power is usually a BMC or Thornycroft diesel, engines chosen for reliability instead of horsepower, which is the right priority on a boat like this. At around 6 knots, she moves efficiently when the wind drops, and because the engine sits close to the wheelhouse, a solo sailor can check on it without leaving shelter. For someone under 30 feet who wants ocean-mindedness without a 40-foot budget, there are few more honest options. The Fisher 25 takes a different route to the same destination. This is offshore capability wrapped in the shape of a small working boat, and the double-ended hull isn't just traditional aesthetics. It gives the boat a balance and stability that's genuinely surprising at that length. A lot of owners say this is the boat that first gave them the confidence to go out in weather they'd previously avoided. The protected wheelhouse offers real visibility. There's over 6 feet of headroom inside, which is almost absurd for a 25-footer, and the long keel and heavy displacement hold course on their own. She's not nimble in a tight marina, But if you've saved energy all day because she didn't need babysitting, that trade-off is fair. Power is usually a Yanmar or Volvo diesel in the 20 to 30 horsepower range, driving a simple shaft instead of something more vulnerable. Top speed around 6 knots. These are the kinds of engines that run for thousands of hours if you maintain them honestly. The Fisher 25 feels much bigger and much more capable than its length suggests. The Banjer 37 is a different animal entirely. This one feels less like a yacht and more like a small ship. Built during a period when fiberglass construction was being taken to extremes, the hull is massively thick, old school, overbuilt. Nothing modern about it, and that's exactly why people still want them. The defining feature is the combination of a Perkins 6-cylinder diesel, usually 96 or 120 horsepower, paired with a compact ketch rig. That combination changes how you use the boat. Under power, she holds 9 knots steadily, even in rough water, which means you stop waiting on the wind. You stop reacting to every shift. You run the passage on your schedule instead of the weather's. The ketch rig here isn't there to replace the engine, it's there to support it. Smaller, easier to reduce, easier to balance alone. That's the philosophy. The engine is the primary mover, the sails are for comfort, efficiency, and redundancy. Being an older boat, expect to find work waiting for you. Tanks, wiring, hoses, typical for a build of that era. Once sorted, though, you're operating the boat in a completely different way than most sailors do. It starts to feel closer to a trawler that happens to sail. The Motiva 39 continues that logic on a larger scale. Pilot house combined with a deck saloon, which gives you a commanding view from a fully protected position. You can steer, navigate, and watch the weather without stepping out into it. These boats weren't mass-produced, so you'll find cutter and ketch rigs, different interior layouts, different levels of finish. What they all share is a clear priority. Keep the person in charge protected and in control. The proof of what this boat can do came from journalist Reinhard Kram, who sailed a Motiva 39 alone around the world over nearly 5 years. That isn't a brochure claim. That's somebody living in one, at sea, by himself, for that long. On deck, a lot of owners upgrade to higher solid rails, and once you've sailed with them, it's hard to imagine going back. The difference between cautious and confident at sea often comes down to whether you feel like you can move around the boat without one hand always reaching for something to grab. Diesel options run up to about 135 horsepower, usually Yanmar or Volvo, which gives you the range and authority to manage passages on your own terms. The boat asks for understanding from its owner. Once you've spent time on it, it can take you much further alone than most 40-footers ever will. The Nauticat 36 sits in an interesting place. Most boats are either sail first or engine first. This one genuinely splits the difference. Power is typically a Ford Lehman, Perkins or Volvo Penta up to about 100 horsepower. Enough to keep real progress when the wind dies, without turning her into a pure motor cruiser. Under sail, the ketch rig is naturally balanced and easy to manage short-handed. The mizzen takes pressure off the helm so the boat doesn't fight you, and for a long-keel motor sailor, she actually sails better than most people expect. Smooth, composed, genuinely capable of making real progress on wind alone. One thing to be aware of, Nauticats have a strong reputation, and the market knows it. You'll pay a premium on the used market compared to less-known boats of similar capability. For a solo sailor who cares more about flexibility than savings, that premium often pays for itself. The boat never forces you to depend on one system alone. The last one takes a different direction entirely. The Nordhaven 40, or more broadly the newer generation of wider, stiffer motor sailing designs. The wide beam and well-distributed ballast make the boat extremely stiff. She doesn't heel much, which means you aren't bracing yourself across a slanted deck all day. On a long passage, that alone is a significant reduction in fatigue. A modern fin keel and balanced spade rudder change the handling entirely from the traditional full keel boats we've been discussing. She responds instantly. The helm feels light, and you can often steer with one hand, even though you're on a 40-foot hull. That efficiency carries through to the autopilot, which works less, draws less power, and holds course with minimal correction. Small detail, but on a solo passage of several days, those small savings compound. Power is typically a Yanmar in the 75 to 100 horsepower range, with motoring range pushing close to 900 nautical miles when you need it. She does ask for care, especially the woodwork, but in return you get a modern, efficient platform that demands less of the sailor than any traditional design of the same size. Look at the 7 together, and a pattern shows up. Not one of these boats is built for speed. Not one of them is light. Almost all of them have some form of protected helm position. Almost all of them have engines chosen for reliability rather than horsepower. Almost all of them track straight without constant input. That is not coincidence. That is the whole design philosophy behind a proper motor sailor. It is a boat built to reduce what the sailor has to give to every passage. And that is what changes after 55 or 65, or whenever the sailing starts feeling heavier than it used to. It isn't that you can't do what you used to do. It's that the cost of doing it is higher, and the margin for getting it wrong is smaller. A good motor sailor shifts that math. It reduces movement, reduces corrections, reduces the steady trickle of decisions that drains your energy offshore. You arrive less tired. You make better judgments. You sail longer in your life. If you've owned one of these, or any motor sailor worth trusting, I'd like to hear what it actually did for you, what the boat handled well, what it asked of you, and what you'd tell someone thinking about making the switch later in life. The honest stories in the comments on these videos are usually worth more than any broker's write-up. If this is the kind of practical, experience-driven discussion you want more of, subscribe and leave a like. That's what this channel is built around.